No, she's my lodger. No.
I'd recently been diagnosed as having Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I had to start using a powered wheelchair to get around the community. And I was getting very frustrated. I lived in the family home, and it was on 2 floors, and you couldn't use a wheelchair inside the house. And my health was getting worse because of it. And I was also at the age where I wanted to move out and be independent, so I was getting quite frustrated with the situation. I felt a bit lost because I kept ending up in hospital from falling, and then the hospital would say it's not our problem to help you find housing, and every department I went to, sort of, it wasn't their issue to help me find somewhere wheelchair accessible. My mum and dad were expected to be my carers because I lived with them, and it wasn't fair on either of us because they were approaching retirement age, and you shouldn't have to be like washed and looked after by your parents. There's too many things to mention, too many good things. And now I live independently in my own flat. I've lived here 2.5 years. It's ground floor flat, and you can get everywhere with a wheelchair. Got like equipment to help me in the bath and in bed. I've got a team of carers that help me be independent and help me do all the things that keep me happy and motivated in life. They've helped me get over the bad times as well, and they make you smile and see the wood. What's the word? The wood from the trees.
I don't know.
Some saying, and when I'm ring up and I'm upset because of my autism, they understand that that's why, and they don't use it against you. And I feel like I do more in my life now that's positive and helps other people, rather than being expected to be stuck in. Because you're ill, there seems to be this thing of you should stay in and not do anything and not aspire to anything, and I don't take any notice of that. They're very person-centred, and they think about the individual, and they're flexible to what the individual wants to do with their life and what matters to them, instead of just saying, you're a wheelchair user, so you must do this, that and the other. They adapt to the person's needs and wishes. Given me a life. Cut that bit out. It's a bit cheesy, girl.
I was sat in my house for 10 months without any care. I'm agoraphobic, so that was hell. I struggled with eating because I had a family member who worked up and down the country. He was dropping by a few times a month, but I wouldn't usually see him even half as much as that. But basically he'd take me out to go shopping. I mean, he's someone who hates shopping so much. He does everything online, but basically it was just to give me a chance to walk around and stretch my legs and get some sort of exercise, as I wasn't getting any. I was struggling walking due to not only being stuck in the house, but I had mobility problems. I knew that when my family member came by, I would have a hot meal, because otherwise I'd just be snacking on yogurts and biscuits and crisps and just any pick up to eat hand to mouth food basically. He suggested things like frozen fruit, so I still had good food in the house at some point. But really it was hell. I was stuck inside and it was sunny days, it was lovely. And one of my friends who has got physical mobility, he came by a few times to take me out as well. But I was passing out a hell of a lot outside. I've fallen down because I collapse sometimes, and people would come by and shake me. I think they must have thought I was drunk or something, but nobody ever actually spoke to me. They would just shake me, and it's horrible because you can't move and you can't speak. I was really down, and I just struggle, even with my friends, speaking with them unless I see people regularly. I really struggle, and I can't deal with too many people in my life, too many people in a room or outside at once. So it was just a nightmare. So I didn't eat really that much, but I piled on loads of weight because I had no exercise and I wasn't up to cooking. I had a mental blockage for cooking, so I basically neglected myself. Transform's the right word. I go outside. I now have carers who come and see me regularly 4 times a week, so I go outside every week. I do Pilates 1 day a week. I've not only my mobility but my stamina as well from doing Pilates. I've got more energy, even though I still am a bit exhausted. The weight that I had piled on has now come off. I still have the same kind of mindset, but I'm around people regularly and not just the odd sporadic person. I see people every week rather than just every few weeks. My social skills aren't the best, but they have improved. Without Molly, I honestly don't know where I'd be. It's not even an exaggeration, it's just a blunt, honest truth. She's helped with my personal independence payment. She helped with all the forms. It was really tedious. It's a hell of a lot of work because I've had to go through similar things before with DLA. Especially when you have hidden illnesses, people don't take what you say on a form very seriously. It's only when they actually meet you and begin to actually see some of the effects that they actually realise that, oh, there is something wrong, this person does need some help. A lady from social services who I had a good relationship with contacted Imagineer on my behalf. She suggested that I should speak to Imagineer and that they'd be the best people for the job. And I've actually spoken in the past with other people with regards to help, but I've never had such dedication, and I've never had somebody who I can always contact at the end of the phone line during the working hours. I've never had that or the reassurance. At the minute, I'm going through 3 different things with social services, and I'm completely lost and confused. I have no idea what's going on, but Molly's keeping me straight and keeping everything separate and in the right order. But basically, all this paperwork that you have when you're ill, there's no way that I would have been able to manage it on my own. You always need help with the paperwork because no matter how well your brain works, and I can be quite articulate sometimes, there are times as well when I have no idea what's going on and you do need that guidance, and to be able to trust and know that they're working to their best ability for you. The consistency from Molly, from Liz, from the team has been outstanding. And the professionalism has literally been so consistent, so precise. Plus you can have a giggle, so you can just relax in between doing all this horrible paperwork that you have to do. I've been ill basically since I've been born, and it's a full-time job doing the paperwork. And it actually makes you more ill doing the paperwork. So basically, Molly has taken all of that off my hands. It's taken the stress away from me so that I can actually try and help myself to get better. I'm looking at starting some craft courses in the next couple of weeks, which I wouldn't have been able to do if it wasn't for Molly helping me to get the care company. And I've got a good care company now, and they've stuck by me. And because when you're ill, people who are ill for a long time are not the easiest or the best people to get along with sometimes. Some days I have bad days, but Molly reassures me that I need to make the best of a situation that could have been a hell of a lot worse, and to make the best of my life that I possibly can do given the circumstances. It's not just about the paperwork, it's just knowing that there's someone out there who will always look after me and will be on my side.
Okay, so my name's Amy and I'm a social worker. I did my first student social work placement at Imagineer about 5 years ago, and yeah, so for me, what Imagineer has offered me was an amazing experience in my first social work placement, where I really kind of got to learn a different way of doing things, very much learning about, community-based support, and that's very much a direction that social care is kind of going towards now. It almost feels like social care is a little bit, in terms of the statutory side of things, a little bit behind. When you look at organisations like Imagineer, they've been doing the person-centred practice and all of that sort of thing, strengths-based, working with people for such a long time, and it's only now that you get local authorities seem to kind of be catching up with it. So for me, it was a really positive experience of actually coming in and working with Imagineer and seeing, how they do things differently. I've since found, moving into a social work role in a council, that there's changes that they're trying to make in terms of transformative, strengths-based social work, and looking at community resources, looking at what's out there, and looking at what people can do and their values and their strengths, rather than services and what does somebody fit into. But there's still an awful long way to go, and for me, the time that I spent here and what I learned about working with people and about how to think about putting somebody at the centre of their support planning, and all of that has massively impacted on my practice as a social worker, and it's something that I'm hoping that I have helped to share with my team as well, you know, and developing their skills around strengths-based social work. It's an organisation that I still love coming back to, hence I'm here. And I've always kind of just massively bigged up everything that they do, because, you know, I see how much the people that we've worked with, you know, I helped with the Outsiders and I helped do the music sessions through Beat It, and I can see over the years, every time I come back, how much those people have grown and what, you know, what they've learned and how they've developed, not just in terms of, you know, musical talent and ability, but in terms of confidence, in terms of life skills. You know, some of the members of the band that are, you know, would never have thought at one point that they had the ability to kind of go and organise gigs and events and stuff, and now, you know, they organise the Facebook page, and they're in touch with, they volunteer their time to get in touch with other organisations to set up gigs and things like that, you know. So it's about what this organisation I've seen offer people in terms of their personal development, and that's for obviously, you know, the people that have come to the music sessions, the people within the band and the Outsiders, but also for me as a social worker. And I think that the one thing I really have to stress about what this, you know, what this organisation, what Imagineer has given to me, is just, it really built my core values and around, you know, what is it that I want to be as a professional, as a social worker, and what does it mean to be person-centred in your practice. And really, I don't think that I would have developed it anywhere near as much as I have if it wasn't for the time that I've spent with Imagineer. There we go.